Hey guys, it's Maymay, and Shannon and I had an idea. Shannon's in the room with me, by the way. Hey guys. We had an idea. We made a wreath called a One Roll Wonder Wreath 2 years ago now and posted it on YouTube. And it's still a great wreath and it still works, good recipe. But we wanted to try one a little different today. We want to do something a little more petite if possible. A lot of you guys tell me that you don't love the really, really full wreaths because they don't fit on your door. So we're going to see what happens with this petite One Roll Wonder mesh wreath recipe. There you go. There's your title. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to start by using a wreath form. Now, you guys may not realize, but we're back in the wreath business around here. We're real excited about it, and I want to show you this for just a second. This is the form we use. A lot of you guys go, I can get a wreath form at this store or that store. You can, but they typically don't carry this. This is what we carry, and we love it. If you can see how my hand is, what we love is it has a base and then a top layer, so you get a nice full wreath, and it does the automatic lifting for you. That makes sense. So this is what we carry. We have these in this color, which is called burlap, I think, and then white and black is what we have available, and they work interchangeably, just how we're going to use it today. Okay, One Roll Wonder. Here's our one roll of mesh. This is 10 yards by 10 inches. And this one happens to be black and white check, and this is our favorite mesh. If you get this at home, you'll see it's got this like check pattern. See how my finger goes through there? We love it. It's our favorite. Let's get ready for this one. So what I've done is I put a piece of yellow tape here so you can see this. Any tape works. This is just how we do this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark myself a starting point. Okay, so I can see through my tape onto my mat. So this is going to be like my 1-inch point. Okay, we're going to need 2 measurements to start. We're going to need 8 inches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to mark that one right there. And I'm going to need 6 inches. So I'm just going to come back 2 and make that mark. Now, if you want to put your ruler down and measure it, you can. And I'm also going to write 8 and 6 so I can remember. Now, we may add another measurement in a few minutes, but this is where we're going to start. In our original video, it was 10 and 8. But today we're going to move it down and see what happens. You're going to see with us. We don't know. It's just, we're going to try it together. So on my form, I have all these little twists that I need to open out. I'm just going to open the bottom ones to start with. Now, a lot of you guys, when we show these wreaths, are like, why do you start on the bottom and not the top? I don't know. It just works for us. I feel like if I start on the top, it's too messy, and I need to start down here and finish up there. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to open up one spot. That's where we're going to start. Now, bringing my mesh over, I'm going to scrunch the end. It doesn't matter where, just scrunch, just like this, okay? And that is going to go right inside that twist that I opened up. So I'm just going to lock this around a couple times. Now, I will come back and open this and add more to it later, but for now, we just want to hold that in place for just a second. All right, now the fun part, and this is where we change from our original. This is what makes this one petite. That 8-inch mark that I have right there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my twist on my 1-inch or my starting point. I'm going to slide my hand to 8, okay? So you see where that 8 is, and I'm going to scrunch, all right? Then I'm going to go to my next twist, open it up, and at the 8-inch mark, I'm going to tuck it in. Now, we did this with 10-inch before, and so I want to see how much more petite. See, that's going to be plenty. That's going to look real good. I want to see how much more petite it looks, right? So we're going to do that together. So I'm going to open that one, place this guy there, scrunch on 8 inches, and put it in. This is just how we do it. If you want to watch that first wreath to see the larger one, go ahead. That video is available. We'll link it below. But I think this is going to work. All right. So I will go around the whole wreath, all around the bottom, only the bottom, okay, opening up a twist and putting in an 8-inch loop. That's what we're going to do first. Just close those twice and do a little floof. Now, I do this floof as I go. You see me doing that with my hand. I think it's better to do it as you go. You can come back and do it later. You're going to floof this guy a lot anyway. It doesn't matter. You'll be floofing until you, even when you hang him on the wall, you might floof him. But for now, that's how we're doing it. All right, let's do the bottom. While I'm floofing, let me tell you guys this. We do have these supplies in store again. We did stop carrying them for a while. We were struggling with getting them, and rather than just fight and get one thing here, one thing there, we just waited until stock kind of leveled out, and we brought it back because we love making wreaths, but we did not like fighting to get product. So now we have product, and it is available. So what you see me use today is all available in our store. Okay. So now that I've got all of the bottoms done with 8-inch poofs, I'm going to go to the top, and you can see my little twist here. what I'm going to do is what I call step up or go upstairs. I'm just going to take my mesh without cutting it and wrap it around that loop, just like this, or around that, in that twist, and close it in. Just hold it just like that. Okay, now we're upstairs. You can see how it kind of went up. Now, if that bothers you, cut it. You can cut it off and start at the top just like we did at the bottom, and that'll be fine. All right, this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to hover over my ruler underneath, which I can see. Do you guys see this? This is my ruler underneath. I'm going to put my twist above it, and this time we're going to make a 6-inch loop, which is pretty small, okay? So it's just going to be enough to go from one to the next. You see that? I just think this is going to be enough mesh for this project. Let's see. Let's go and see what happens. All right, now I'll hover my next twist, and I will go to 6 inches again, and I will grab that. I will open my next twist up, stick this inside, and then floof. I just think this is going to be really pretty. It's going to be enough. Now, this one feels much bigger than my other one, so I need to check my math. Do y'all see the difference in those two? I need to see where I went wrong. So let's see. So if I hover my twist, oh, it was in my hand where I did it. It was here. So put that one in at 6 inches, and now these should be better. Yeah, those match better. All right, same thing all the way around the top. I'm going to hover. I'm going to find 6 inches, which is there. I'm going to open this one up, place this inside. Y'all might be wondering why I went with a burlap and I'm using this black and white. Some of the pieces we're going to put on are burlap, and that'll hide. So I don't really worry too much about this because it'll kind of go away.
Accent color.
Yeah, it just kind of matches anyway. So, all right. So to the 6-inch mark, open a twist, sit it inside, and close it up all the way around the top. All right, I'm back to the beginning. So I will open this first one up just like so. Watch how my mesh will just stay in place. I'm going to tuck this in here. And now I'm going to close it up. Again, all of these are going to get open again because we're going to add ribbon and other elements to it. All right, I really like the height of this guy. It's very petite and it's pretty nice. Okay, now what we're going to do is cut this away right in here. I'm just wadding up my mesh. I want to do it where you guys can see me do it. I'm just wadding it up, taking my scissors, giving myself about 1 inch to 1.5 inches away, and cutting. I don't care about that messiness. Don't worry. I'll show you what we're going to do with that. So you can see that can just tuck in. It's going to hide anyway. All right. What you can do at this point, if you feel like you got too much in one and not enough in another, you can go edit. We're not going to. We're going to leave it alone. I want to show you how much thinner. You see how much thinner that is? It's pretty good, right? I'm excited for the petite. All right. Let's move on to the next step. This is a one roll wonder. So I want to use all of this on this wreath, but in a different way. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to cut these. I think we should stay with 8 inches. Okay, for the rest of our mesh, we're going to continue with 8. 8's going to be our number. Do you see this here? I'm using this mark as my beginning, and I'm going to cut everything down to 8 inches. Now, do you see how bad this looks? Don't worry. It goes away. You will not see it. Here's what we're going to do. The entire rest of our roll, we're going to cut down to 8 inches. Now, you can do this using a rotary cutter. That's fine if you want. We just typically use our long Tim Holtz shears and just go to town and cut 8-inch strips. So with everything that's left on my roll, I'm going to cut down 8 inches. Let me show you this, guys, too. Do you see this little bit right here? This is what we love, this check mesh. It does not fray like crazy. Does it fray? Yes. Does it just fall apart? No. You can see the pieces here. It's very few. And by the time we finish, you won't see any frays. We will lock them into place. All right, so let me show you what we're going to do next. We're going to take the pieces that we cut. Shannon's going to hand me those. We ended up with, or just, you can hand them how you want to. We ended up with 24 8-inch pieces, okay? So here's how we're going to treat these guys. See how they already want to do this? Now I'll tell you, the closer to the roll, the more they want to twist, but the further out, they're a little flatter. But we're going to create loops to put into our twist. And here's how you're going to do it. You're just going to roll this guy up. You can roll it as tight or as loose as you want. What we're looking for is this. We want to see this on the end. And when we make this loop, we're going to open a twist and put it inside. So I'm just going to open this up. I'm going to place my loop inside. You kind of want to split the center. You kind of want to get the middle. And the point of the petite wreath is I want to see more of these. And I feel like this is going to do that for me. I think we're going to get to see a lot more of our twist than we normally do in our bigger loops, right? So we're going to run around and every twist is going to get one loop okay? But 6 twists are going to get 2 loops. I'm going to do 1 to start with, and then I'll go back with my extras and put them where they're sparse. Shannon told me to remind you of something. You may not end up with the same amount that I do. Whatever you end up with, just divide it and place it into your twist. It will not matter. It will work just fine. Sometimes we get 25, sometimes we get 22. It just depends on how we were here and also how generous the roll was. Sometimes on the mesh, we can get a little more than it actually says we get. So, you know, it's a game of inches. You might be wondering why we open the twist every time. There was a time when I didn't do that. I used to not open the twist. I would just add to it. But in that same sense of we're not wanting our wreath to get so super full, if we don't open the twist, what happens is we're just stacking and stacking up and making our wreath thicker and thicker or deeper and deeper, and we don't want to do that. So that's why when you open up your twist and you press down to the wreath form, we keep some of that depth out of the way for us. All right, I want you to see that I'm definitely putting this one in. Do you see how chewed up it is on that end? What I'm going to do is start down here and just start the roll. Tuck all that under. It'll all go away once we make this turn. See how it all went away, and now I have a loop. And I'm going to open this up here and put it inside, and this is my last one. Now, I want to tell you, when you're picking where to put those extras, you know, those 6 extra pieces, what we do is we kind of hold it up and look at it, or you can look at it from above the way we've got it here. And anywhere you see something sparse, that's where you want to go. I really like this. I really like how many more loops I see than the what are these, poofs? I like it because I feel it's going to create body for our ribbon. So I like this kind of recipe we're doing, this kind of petite recipe. All right, now it is time for ribbon. So now that I have my mesh on, I want to show you what I'm going to be using. I love this Amazing Grace sign. I have a spot in the shop I want to put this wreath, so I'm going to use this one. And then I'm using our Amazing Grace ribbon, which is absolutely gorgeous. I'm using the Magnolia ribbon because I'm planning to use some magnolias in here as well. And then this is tubing. Now, this intimidates people, but I'm going to tell you something. To me, this is like stitches on a card or inking the edges. Like, this is the thing that ties everything together. And we'll talk about tubing in a minute. But for your recipe, I just want you to have 3 elements at this point, okay? I've got 1 ribbon, 2 ribbons, and tubing. Those are my 3 elements we're working with right now. The sign and anything else is extra, but it's best to work in 3s or 5s, okay? Now, because we're doing a petite wreath, we cut our ribbons down as well. These are only 32 inches long, where we used to do them 36 inches long. So 32, 32, and I've got 6 of these, 6 of these, and we'll use 6 groupings of tubing as well. All right, let me show you what we do with these. So I've got them cut down to 36 inches. Now I want to dovetail them. All right, and I'm going to show you how we do that. What we do is we take the ends and we fold them up together like so. I'm going to turn this sideways so you can see. You see I just folded it together. Then I want you to take your wired edges and fold them to each other like so. And you're going to take your scissors, and from the fold to the wire, you're just going to cut at an angle. And that's what you want to do on all of your ribbons, because it's going to give you these pretty dovetails. And you want to go ahead and do that now, because once they're on the wreath, it's a little hard to do. So I'm going to run through and dovetail all these ribbons. I say that. I may let Shannon do it. Shannon is so good at dovetailing. Everybody needs a Shannon in their craft room. But I may let her do this while I show you how to put them on. So let me get a few done. Also want to warn you guys of something. Do you see how I'm not swiping my hand across here? There's a reason. When you dovetail, sometimes you cut little pieces of metal because these are wired edge ribbons. Don't swipe your hand. There's a little piece right there. We learned the hard way. We don't swipe our hands. We clean that up later with a cloth or something, but for now, it's going to stay there. All right, let's talk about ribbon and placement. So this ribbon, 32 inches long, we're going to make a bow wreath. Now, we do bows and we do tails and we do loops and tails. There's different things that we do in our wreath making, but we're going to do a bow. And I want to show you what we do. The first thing we do is we fold ours like an awareness ribbon. So you see how I've got that folded like that? And this way, we just want to kind of eyeball that our tails are about the same, okay? Where you put this up here does not matter as much, but the bigger you leave this, the bigger your loops are, okay? So then what I want to do is tuck this down underneath, something like that. You see the beginning of our bow happening? I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to pleat in my hand. Just a pleat. That's all we're doing. So you see we kind of made a bow. The wire does the work for you. You don't have to stress about it. Now what we want to do is we want to come to our wreath. We want to open up a twist. Everything will stay in place, okay? We want to stick our bow in and then twist again, all right? So I'm just going to floof for a second so you can see what it looks like. So I'll do a little floof. Isn't that pretty in there like that? And it shows off the ribbon really well. Now we have 6 of these, so you could go around now and do 6, but what I typically do is kind of just skip. So I've got this one, so now my next one, I think I'm gonna let this be tubing, and my next one will be ribbon. Does that make sense? So we're just gonna alternate them. So same deal with your other ribbon. Look at this mess that I have over here. Same deal with your other ribbon. Make yourself the little awareness ribbon to start, okay? Then you wanna tuck behind and pleat. The further you tuck that back loop, the taller your loops stand up. I'll show you that again in a second. Let me open this twist up and put this one inside. Now, I like for all of my bows to kind of go the same way. I think Shannon does too. We do them all facing out. So we let our tails face out on this particular recipe. So you can see how they're facing me. That's how I like my bows to do. Let's skip one and go to the Amazing Grace again. We'll make a awareness ribbon. And here's what I mean. If I take this guy and lay him here, see how my loops look at the top? If I tuck him under, I get more of a bow. Did you see how that just kind of happened? So the further down you tuck him, the better it will be. Shannon's watching me, but her hands are itching to get over here and make bows. I just see it. Am I wrong?
It's fun.
It's fun to do.
It's painful sometimes, but fun.
If you have sensitive skin, if your skin is thin or sensitive to pokies and things like that, wear some gloves when you make wreaths. It doesn't hurt a thing. It's actually very, very pleasant to have the gloves on. Another tip, if you're fluffing a Christmas tree, Shannon likes to wear gloves doing that, and it's smart too.
Yep, and long sleeves, even if it's hot outside.
And long sleeves. And most of the time when we decorate trees, it's hot outside because it's late September or early October when we're doing it. All right, let's add this one. That'll be the last ones we add on top as far as bows. We'll come back and put our mesh in. Before you cut your ribbons, though, before you, do the math we did of 6, 6, and 6, make sure that you count your twists. Because some of these guys sometimes will have 17 and some will have 18. So count your twists before you do them. All right, so now what I want you to do is you see I have a Magnolia here. I have a Amazing Grace here. So now I don't want to put another Magnolia right here because it's touching this one. So I'm going to go to the Amazing, I want to say Amazing Grace. Every time I say it, I'm going to go to Amazing Grace ribbon because I don't want them touching each other. And I'll put Magnolia over here so they'll complement. It won't always work that way. You will end up with 2 the same somewhere, but we've done it for years and no one can ever pick it out and it's not a big deal. So just trust the process. All right, tucking it down in just like we've done all the others. Thank goodness for wired ribbon because I can come back and fix all this flattening that I'm doing to it. Look how flat and squished it is. But I can come in and I can just mess with my wire. It's very hard to mess these wreaths up. Very hard. All right, Magnolia. Notice I'm not too worried about the twist right now either. I may put something else in here, so I'm just going to leave them alone for now. At the end, I'll go tuck them. But for now, I may do something else with them. All right, so I'm going to put some tubing there. So here, I think, see, this is a spot. No matter what I put here, I'm going to be pretty close, okay? So I think right here, I'm going to put Magnolia because I feel like I got a lot of white here. So I'm just going to put a Magnolia right there. Okay, let's talk tubing. Tubing is a little hard for us to give you like an exact measure on because do you get 30 yards in the pack of this? I don't know. We'll have to look at our product description. Shannon will look at that and tell me. But I want to say it's 30 or 40 yards of this that you get. And it's a little hard to give you like, cut this much. Also, you kind of have to know how you want it to look. I like for mine to look pretty loopy. So I just kind of do this number with it. Just kind of make 3 loops or 5. I wouldn't do 6 and I wouldn't do, it's 3 on either side, or I would do 5 on either side like this. If you just kept going to give yourself an odd number. Just remember this, the more you pile up, the more obvious it is in the wreath, but I think it's beautiful in the wreath. It just adds something. So let me do this with 5 on either side and show you what it looks like. And this product tends to pull everything together. Look how that does. Just look how pretty that is. And you can play with these. You can pull them around and place them, more to one side, more to another, whatever you want to do. I'm going to go ahead and tuck that twist because I think that's all I'm going to be putting in there. I may put something else in, but do you see how that just adds some texture? On camera, it may seem weird. You just got to trust me. It is beautiful. And do you see how I lost that loop? I'm going to do this because I actually like that little bit of texture there. And I'm going to cut it off from here. So I have even more texture there. And I'm going to go around, and every one of my twists that's empty, I'm just going to do a wad. I don't know how else to say it. A loopity-loop of the mesh, or the tubing rather. So here, I may not want to do the same amount because I don't want it super heavy, right? So maybe I just want to do, you know, 3 or something like that. You can play and do it any way you want. You got to not be afraid of the tubing. It's, I don't know how to describe it, but it's really forgiving and it's really pretty in your wreath. See how it just adds a texture? Cut this off. I'm going to go ahead and tuck this down. I may need it because I do have some other things I'm thinking about adding, but if I don't, it's out of the way. And the more I add, just look, it's so pretty. And I really love using the like really different color, kind of the juxtaposition. It almost feels like a second mesh, doesn't it? Like a second roll of mesh. All right, let me fill this in. Let me show you guys this. Do you see how these two white bows landed on each other? I'm going to take some of this and add it to the bottom, and that'll add a little more color down there, and it'll kind of hide the fact that they're matching. I'm tucking my twist behind, and there's another thing I want to show you that I think is another trick. Once you get this on here, I want you to take your thumb on the middle of the twist and press it down. What that does is it pushes your bow into the middle and makes your loops and everything really stand out. And it does the same for your tubing. It just kind of makes it more floofy, if that makes sense. It just kind of gives it more body. All right, so you can see here it has nothing, so I probably want to go get rid of those, the twists, but I'm not going to do that just yet. I'm going to hold this up and look at it and see where else I need tubing. All right, so I think I used about half of my tubing. You can see how much I have left. It's a lot. You can get a lot out of the tubing. You could probably get 2 wreaths out of a tubing pretty easy, out of 1 pack. All right, let's do the next thing. Let's add our sign, because that always makes things just really pop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my sign on the middle. Look how pretty that is. Place my sign on the middle. I'm just going to kind of work it down in a little bit, and I'm going to find where I want it to live. This will also kind of fluff up all of your pieces here at the top because you want to pull them out and around. I'm going to find where I want it to live. And then at the top, I don't even have to use hot glue or anything. I'm going to tuck my ribbons in, or tuck my twine in, and I'm going to find where I want to hang it. That's a pretty good spot, but I might want to go even further down. No, I think this is going to work. So I'm going to open up this twist, and I'm going to put my sign inside, put my little twist and my twine from my sign. That's a lot to say. Twine for my sign inside. I'm going to tuck these twists down just for now. Fluff all this up. Now here's the thing about the sign. When I stand this up, my sign is going to droop, okay, because the weight's going to be on it. What I will do is when I stand it up, I can do 2 things. Number 1, I can twist my sign. So what I mean is I can stand it up and twist it and take up some of the length from the twine just by twisting it. So maybe I want to twist it 2 or 3 times like this, and that will make it some shorter, okay? So that'll help with some of the sag. And then also when you put this in place, you can lift these bows and your mesh and everything up and kind of catch it. But you really have to do that in place. You really cannot, I mean, I can do it on camera and it looks like it's done, but I promise you, when I put this in place, I will have to fidget with it, and I'll have to get it in just the right spot. But typically, twisting that shortens it up, and you don't have to do any fancy footwork. And that way, if you ever want to use your sign again, you can take it out and reuse it. All right, there's that. Now, this is where we fluff. Go around, do the fluffing of the bows, everything you flattened. Put your twist in. There's a twist that needs to be tucked. All right, guys, I've got my sign placed. Everything's in. And I mentioned that I might want to add some greenery. We've got magnolias. Let me show you the magnolias. So these are our magnolias that are available, and I may still stick one in here somewhere, we'll see, but I feel like they're a little big for my petite wreath that I've made, but I gotta show you what does work, and it's so pretty. These are fantastic. These little stems can be used in so many different ways, and I'm gonna show you an easy way to add them to your mesh wreath and be able to use them again in another project later. So here's what you'll do. The first thing you gotta do is we gotta cut this tag off, Mini Pearl. That's what I always say, you gotta get that tag off of there. And then what I want to do is I want to take this bottom. I don't want to cut it off. It's not too long. I'm just going to tuck it. So I'm just going to push it up underneath. And the reason I don't want to take it off, let's say I decide to use this greenery somewhere else, that stem may come in handy. Okay. Now what I want to do And I'm going to show you, I've already put one in because it looks amazing. Do you see that right there? Look how pretty that is. What I'm going to do is on the bottom row only, I'm going to add these to every other twist. So I've done that one there. I'm going to skip this twist and go to this one. Okay, so yes, I've already got stuff in there. All I got to do is open it up. Remember, everything stays in place. Even your little flex tubing will stay in place. Then I'm just going to take this, and here I want to show you like this. I'm going to have my twist be like this. Okay, so you see this section here? That's where it's going to get put in. So not at the bottom, in the middle. So I'm going to place this down, and I want to push it way down. The beauty is these leaves are all wired. My mesh is not got nice body to it. These stems are wired that I'm using right here. These twists are wired. So I'm going to tuck those around because I'm done with them. Okay, press it in the middle, and then I'm going to fluff these leaves and put them where I want them. And the other thing I want to do is any ribbon or anything I had behind it, I want to pull it to the front or mix it in, if that makes sense. So I'm going to turn my leaves. They're so pretty in here. They really make this, it really sets it off. And then of course at the top. Now, I've got these twists still here. I'm going to leave them just in case I add something up there too. I don't think I am. But you see how pretty and how full adding that leaf is? So I'm going to add that leaf every other one on the bottom. Let me show you this too. My leaves are kind of an afterthought. I had not planned on putting these in. So if you want to put your leaves in before your bows, you can, or you can just do that. You can pull it out, cut my tag off, get this guy ready to go in, and then I'll just put him in and put the bow on top before I close it back up. Probably, I'm trying to think if I would put it in first. I might put the greenery in first now that I've decided to use it. But since I really wasn't thinking about it at the time, it's no big deal to come back and do this. This is also something I want to show you. If you ever want to refresh a wreath, you can do this. You can just open it up, move things around, add something fresh, change the ribbon. It's a good way to do that because these are so forgiving. These wired leaves are so beautiful. I'm even able to kind of pull some to the top, pull some around so it kind of covers in the whole wreath. And at this point I think I used 5 of those. We'll make sure we put it in the description how many I used. But I want to say it was 5. Let me turn this back around. Look how pretty adding those magnolia leaves are. You like that, Shannon?
I love it.
I think it's beautiful. Now the question is, do I want to add anything to the top? Let's look and see. All right, guys, that's our finished Petite One Roll Wonder Wreath. It is a little smaller, and I'm happy with that. It doesn't quite spread out as far on the door, and I think it looks really pretty. So we'll have the recipe for you in the description of this video. We'll also have a blog post for you, and we'll even have all of the pieces we used as far as the recipe goes, is like how many leaves we used, how many puffs we used, how many bows we used, and their measurements. So if you want to recreate it, you can. Don't forget, if you have questions, you can email us, info@MaymayMadeIt.com, and we do our best to answer all of your questions, paper crafting or wreath related. And don't forget to subscribe. You're going to see a lot more wreath content. We're back in the game, and we're real happy about it. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and until next time, bye now.